The 612 Scaglietti was Ferrari's flagship Grand Tour in the mid-2000s. It replaced the 456M and launched in 2004 as a 2+2 V12 built for cross-continent speed and comfort. You see, at the time, Ferrari wanted something elegant and subtle, not something that was poster design or flashy. So they came up with a refined, long-distance cruiser with space for both luggage and passengers. And that's exactly what the 612 was supposed to be, a gentleman's V12. Unfortunately, however, the 612 Scaglietti was just a car that kind of fell off the face of the earth. It's not really talked about that much anymore. In this particular model, this 2005 612, with a gated 6-speed manual, just went on sale on Bring a Trailer, and it's bringing in a lot of attention. Now let's talk about why this is bringing in so much attention. First of all, let's talk about the timing and where Ferrari was in history. The 612 launched right as Ferrari was shifting away from manuals. Most Ferrari buyers at the time opted in for the new F1 automated manual instead of the gated 6-speeds. And out of the 3,025 612 Scagliettis that were ever produced by Ferrari, only about 200 of them were estimated to be with 6-speed manuals. So at the time, it was extremely rare to have one of these cars as a 6-speed manual, but now it's almost mythical. But I digress. Let's go more historical here. I know I talk about Ferrari and its history a lot, but when you look at it and you go back to the history in the 50s and 60s, they weren't making mid-engine supercars, right? They were making front-end engine GTs. You had the 250 GT Lusso, the 275 GTB, the 330 GTC. These were elegant, powerful cars for really, really wealthy customers. Not your average person was buying these. And that was kind of Ferrari's formula up through the 90s, even through with the 456 GT. But by the 2000s, their cars were aging. They needed something more modern. So they built the 612 and a few other cars before that. But the 612 was a landmark for them, as was any car. And I talk about all these cars all the time. Like, look at McLaren, the MP4. That was a landmark for McLaren. It was like the first transition into this new modern development of McLaren. I just talked about the California T and its development into, that was the first Ferrari with a front engine, right? So like, I talk about all these landmark cars, but I feel like every car in its own way for every company is its own landmark as it's forward progress towards one step or another, if that makes sense. But again, I'm getting sidetracked. This car was named after Sergio Scaglietti, the legendary designer who shaped some of the most iconic Ferrari bodies in the 1950s. And the 612 was meant to be a tribute to that era of designing and ingenuity. It's said that the designers at Pininfarina took inspiration from the 1954 Ferrari 375 MM Rossellini, one of Scaglietti's most famous creations, and that's why the 612 has that unusual slant and long nose. So now we get into the power and the actual, life of the car. Under the hood, Ferrari dropped a 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V12, producing 532 horsepower. At the time, it made the 612 one of the fastest 4-seater car in the world. And very similar to the California T, and if you haven't seen the California T video, go check it out. It's a very similar story here. The world was not ready for it. Because at the time, you had the 360 Modena and the upcoming 430. And so you had that excitement of these new and powerful, great-looking cars, and then you get this. It wasn't dramatic, it was subtle, it didn't really scream Ferrari the way that people had thought it would. But now here's where it gets interesting, because remember when I talked about the transmissions? Well, Ferrari was heavily marketing that automated transmission, right? Which means the only 200 out of 3,000 that were gated manuals are extremely rare. And it worked because people wanted that new technology. And then, of course, a few years later, Ferrari dropped the 599 GTB, which is an iconic Ferrari. Everybody knows it. It was loud, wild, and dramatic, and it pretty much instantly became the new Halo V12. And then the 612 was just kind of forgotten about in history because the 599 was there. And if you look, the designs are very similar, especially from the back. You can see very striking similarities between the two cars. And then throughout the 2010s, the value tanked because no one was talking about the car. It was often overlooked and many people didn't write about it or make videos about it. So now let's talk about the car itself a little bit. Obviously under the hood you get that incredible 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V12 that produces 532 horsepower. And inside is gorgeous. It's like peak early 2000s. You get thick leather everywhere, analog dials, polished metal, and iconic gator shifter that's right in the center. In the back, you actually get real seats that people can probably fit in. It was kind of a cabin that was meant to rival cars at the time, such as the Continental GT and the Aston Martin DB9. Additionally, this car has 21,000 miles and it's in New York right now. Some additional features include 20-inch challenge style alloy wheels that come equipped with xenon headlights, Scuderia Ferrari fender shields, a heated Daytona style front seats, and inside amenities include dual zone climate control, a CD stereo with remote CD changer. You also get all the service records for this vehicle as well. So the crazy thing is, when you actually look at the auction, and I'll have the auction listed in the description below, but when you look at the auction and look at the comments, some of the people are saying exactly what I've talked about. This guy directly says, "I'll freely admit I didn't love these at first. I thought the styling was a little forced, especially in comparison to the 456. That said, these have aged well and seemingly have gotten better with time and hindsight." Someone said this would make an awesome convertible conversion. I'm not sure about that. I understand the idea there, not on this car. I'm also just in love with the Blu Tour de France color over the brown leather upholstery. I think that is a fantastic color combo, especially on Ferraris. Any blue Ferrari is going to go for a lot of money. These are significantly more rare than red ones. But yeah, that's a little history on the 612. I think it's a fascinating car. I think it's a beautiful car. This one, especially with the 6-speed manual, will go for a lot of money. It's blue, 6-speed manual, naturally aspirated V12. And it's live right now on Bring a Trailer. I encourage you to check it out. Follow along with the auction. I'll post updates on this on my social media platforms. Lots on TikTok as well as YouTube Shorts. So be sure to be subscribed and follow to them. And yeah, that's all I got for the 612.